Pura Vida, this is JuliAnne Murphy with LaPuraVidaCostaRica.com, and this is day 14 of 30 days of expat living in Costa Rica. Today we're talking car costs, what costs to buy, and what you can expect in terms of how that differs perhaps from where you're from. So a few examples. Generally, let me just say that car purchasing in Costa Rica is a lot more expensive than in the States specifically, and probably in Canada. Can't say that that's necessarily the case for Europe. You'll have to do your own research if you're coming from Europe. But I'm going to give you examples relevant to the U.S. just as a point of reference. Costa Rica does have a luxury tax that if you're buying a brand new car up to 5 years old, you're generally going to have pay a bit more customs, quite a bit more customs fees and import taxes than you would if you're buying something that's used 5 years older or more. I'm not really going to comment on why that's the case. It doesn't matter, but that's the reality. So when you buy something brand new here, most of the dealerships are in the more populated areas like San Jose or San Isidro and maybe Guanacaste areas. You are going to pay more than you would in other places like the U.S. or Canada. Some examples for you. When I came here in 2015, 2.5 years ago, I brought my 2015 Ford Edge fully loaded that I'd purchased in Panama. Similar to U.S. prices, maybe a little bit more expensive. When I lived in Panama in early 2015, I purchased that vehicle new, and I paid $29,500 for it. When I came here in May, 4 months later, generally when you drive a car in, you have about 90 days to have that car in country before you have to register it and pay import duties and custom fees for it, for the cost of bringing that car in as a foreign vehicle. I looked into doing that nearing the end of that 90-day period and discovered that in order to register that car in Costa Rica, it was going to cost me another $30,000. I quickly took the car back to Panama, as you can imagine. I then took a look at the Ford dealership. There's only one Ford dealership in San Jose, here in the capital city, to think, okay, well, maybe I'll just buy that same car here brand new and then get 4x4 added to it. That same Ford Edge with 4x4 in 2015, mid-2015, at the Ford dealership in San Jose was going to cost me $62,000. I didn't buy the car. So I thought, well, okay, you know what? I've got another car, used car, that I bought when I first went to Panama, and I'm going to go get it and bring it over, sell it, and use the money to buy something else. It was a 2008 fully loaded Audi A4. At that point in time in 2015, 2.5 years ago, it was valued at $8,000 to $10,000 in Panama, which is pretty typical for resale there. To bring that car here in 2015 was still going to cost me $10,000. Again, didn't make sense. I went to the Audi dealership here in San Jose to check out the price of a similar vehicle to see if I brought it, what I could resell it for. And at that point in time in 2015, a 2008 Audi A4 in the same condition as mine would have sold for around $23,000. So it wasn't worth, honestly, to bring it, shipping and all that stuff. Last year, I ended up buying a 2007 Toyota pickup, base model 4x4 double cab, nothing special, but it is 10 years old. I paid in the low 20s for it. When you insure your car, which is a legal requirement here in Costa Rica, every year they evaluate it according to what's happening, how old the car is, the model, the make, etc. So this year, or just a couple months ago, when I re-upped the insurance, they valued that pickup for me again, and it was just under $21,000. Interesting, because in the U.S., I just looked up on one of the NADA guideline websites, that same 2007 double cab Toyota pickup would run about $11,000 to $15,000 depending on condition and mileage in the States. So comparison, usually I would say you should plan on 60 to 70% increase in price here at a minimum, sometimes more than double. I also looked here in Costa Rica just a moment ago online, the equivalent of Craigslist here online for a Ford Edge, just to see what that would cost. And a 2012 was the latest model I could find. 2012 Ford Edge with 88,000 kilometers, about 60,000 miles here. In 2017, it's a 2012 model. Here in Costa Rica is listed at $23,000. So I think that gives you enough examples that you get the picture. Cars here, vehicles here are more expensive, especially than the States. Can't speak to Canada, but generally what you'll find is that many expats choose to drive cars, older versions or older models than they might have when they live back home. There is no payment plans here for cars for expats. Those kind of loans don't exist generally. If something's changed and someone knows different than that, please correct me, but to my knowledge, there no. So when you come here, you're paying cash for a car, generally. And because of that, most people don't necessarily come with 20, 30, 40 grand for a car. Some do, and if so, God love them, that's great. But most people don't, and cars are expensive. So it is a planning point that's very important to take into consideration when you're considering moving to or retiring in Costa Rica. For more on these tidbits of expat life, real life in Costa Rica, go to lapuravitacostarica.com. And if you're interested in real estate along the Southern Pacific area, which is where I live and work, that's from Dominical south includes Dominical, Uvita, Tres Rios, and Ojachal, and parts south. Go to Costa Rica Pacific Realestate.com. Look forward to seeing you soon. Ciao, Pura Vida.